There we go.
Hello?
You already started recording. I feel like I'm like,
I'm a
stop.
savage.
I'm like, don't do that. I say stupid shit before we start. It's fine. I'm fine.
Well,
I also have like my gamer chair and my feet are up, and I'm like, this is not right for a podcast, so it's fine.
I, I
We're
think that's
fine.
cool.
I also don't even game. It's just really comfy.
Whoa. Okay, so you're more about the ergonomics of this chair.
I would say it's more the ADHD accessibility of this chair
Like the
because like
rocking
I
back and forth.
literally no, it's just the fact that like everyone I like want to put my feet up sometimes. I want to put my legs up here. I want to like stretch them out. I just can't sit in the same spot for an extended period of time. And it
Oh, then this is gonna be
scratches
a
that
perfect
itch.
podcast because I am
Oh God.
King Fidgeter.
Oh, I was like, am I gonna fuck this up royally? I don't
You
even know how to
move
put this
one
away.
inch.
Well, I don't want it to like make weird. Oh, I did it. Okay. I put it away. I put
What was the way?
the leg extender thing. It's an adjustable chair.
I want you to be like if I had a leg extender, I would join you.
No, because I'll be too far from the mic and you won't be able to hear me. I bet I could just hold the mic, but then sometimes it like digs into my hands. I'm
Oh,
like,
look at us, Mike twins.
mm. Oh yeah. I bought new ones because I want to set up like a cute little mic area.
Yeah.
I've put zero effort into it. So I'm like,
Hey,
it's
you and
fine.
me both.
It's fine. Did you go to the Real Coaches
I
Summit?
did. I was
Oh,
there.
did you have fun?
You sound like my mom. I did have fun.
Okay, fine. I
I
always want people to have a good time. That's a fair
Where are
question.
you from? Are you from the East Coast?
No,
Where,
why?
oh, because
It's the way they talk.
you sound like a very caring like Italian mom, which is great.
No, I do get that I'm always like a mom to
Yeah.
everybody. And I'm like, no, I just maybe it's the people pleaser me. Maybe it's just the protective energy. It's probably the
Yeah.
big sister energy in me, actually. I have two little
Yeah.
sisters.
Oh,
So and
really?
they're like, yeah, they're 9 and 13. So they're like wee
Oh,
baby.
yeah,
Yeah. Meanwhile,
yeah,
I'm 30. So I'm like, you guys are
yeah.
you guys
Your
are my
kid's
little
good?
humans. Yeah. I'm like, you guys okay? No, I'm a very California girl.
Are you really?
Yeah, most people are really surprised when I say that because they think that California people are mean. And I'm like, we're not mean.
Oh,
I think you
we're in
just haven't met
California.
the Bay Area. We're
Oh,
Yay
cool.
area.
I live in San Diego right now.
Oh, how was that?
It's pretty good. I mean,
That's good.
the weather's always nice, which is quite the treat,
It's just
you know.
expensive.
But
So expensive.
it's it's, it's very expensive.
There's a reason I left. I was like, I'm a Texas gal now.
I
I
see
won't
that.
fully identify as one because I don't really love Texas, but I'm staying. It's fine. It's good enough. It's not the same as California where like you just have
Yeah.
beautiful weather all the time.
Hmm.
So I'm still adapting to the fact that it gets like cold here
Oh, I know. Well,
and it
interesting.
rains randomly.
Well, you're from well, Bay kind of gets cold, but the I'm from Connecticut originally.
Oh,
So
it
so
gets
I know
cold.
a little cold here and there.
Yeah, I was like, that gets real cold.
Yeah, I've had some tough winters.
It gets like 13 degrees here.
Oh wow, that is actually chilly.
Yeah, see? And meanwhile, in California, when you were like, you know the cold, I'm like, I'm from Palo Alto, so I'm more
Oh,
inland
got
than
you.
like San Francisco. I think that's what people think of. Everyone thinks of San Francisco, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not from there. It gets doesn't get that cold. Like
Mm,
cold is like probably 45.
that
I
is a
think
little
was the
chilly.
coldest I can. It's not cold. I'm so real about like what's the word? Oh my gosh, there's a word for it because there's people who are so ignorant and then
Yeah,
I'm very aware.
you're realistic about it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know the privilege I had of living in California. I know
yeah.
the taxes I had to pay. There's a reason I ran away.
I I like and I'm not I mean I'll also be very real. I think I'm much more of a wuss now when it comes to weather. Like I
It
used to be
softens you
cool. I
up.
used to be
No, it softens you up living in California.
Oh
You feel
yeah.
so privileged.
I used to wear short shorts in like 10-degree weather when I lived in New York. Like
Never
I was
again.
cool.
Never again. That ship has sailed.
Yeah, now when it's 50, like I'm joining in
okay.
on the people that are like, oh, cold day.
It's so cold. I would literally be wearing like a full-on parka when I'd
Yeah.
be like walking in the mornings in California. Like, it's so cold. And now I live here and my little fucking parka does nothing. And I'm like, meanwhile, it's like 13 degrees. And I was like, in California, it was like 45. And I was like,
Right.
oh, so cold. So
So you've
I'm
gotten
still a little
tough.
whiny bitch. It's fine. I haven't gotten any tougher. I hate the cold still, but I like to pay less for where I live. I like having a better
Yeah,
quality of life, so I'll take
I
it.
know. Yeah, I'm thinking about that too. It's been like really nice, like just waking up and going, and I haven't checked. Like I'll still ask my Google, of course, be like, "What's the weather like today?" And I know.
See, I think that's what's so weird to me. People do that. People like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that that's like a thing because
Oh, for
people
the
will like
Google?
check the weather.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not even Google, but in general, this is going to sound so ridiculous.
Go ahead.
I didn't realize it was normal for people to be like, what's the weather like outside? Because in California, it's always the same.
Yeah.
It's a little colder than normal. Okay. But like, I was so confused when I moved here, and my friends,
Yeah.
like, we'd wake up or something, they'd be like, oh, Siri, what's the weather like outside? And I'm like, it's weather. Like, I'm confused why you have to check. And now I'm like, oh, this makes sense. It's because the
Yeah.
weather always changes.
Yeah.
Literally, we'll have a day where it's 85 one day and it's
Yeah.
humid as fuck. And
Mm-hmm.
then today it's like 54.
Yeah. Well,
Literally 85, 54 the next day. That doesn't happen in California. We
I
have
like
a steady increase of heat.
I like your accent you had for your friend. Oh, Siri. Oh, Siri.
I tend to
Like
like,
Mrs. Doubtfire.
I
Oh,
tend to
Siri,
speak in
what's the
different ways.
temperature outside?
Oh, Siri,
Oh, Siri. Oh, 55.
are you Irish? You like have an
I
Irish
can.
accent.
I've seen Luck of the Irish before, Disney Channel original
That's
movie.
great. I met an Irish. My friend's boyfriend is Irish, and he
Yeah.
went with he came to a wedding that I was at recently,
Hmm.
and he's like straight from Ireland, and I was like asking him all these questions because I was like, oh, so
Yeah.
what do you guys do there? Like, what's it like? And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I was like, I'm just curious, like, what do you guys eat? And he was like, we eat cabbage, and like they have a cabbage dish, and I was like, oh, it's like a delicacy, and he's like,
Mm.
no, and he like explains it, and I was like, that sounds like a poor man's dish, and he was like, oh, it is. He's like, yeah, exactly. We used to be poor. And I was like, oh, and he was like, yeah, but now Ireland is one of the most richest countries,
Well, how about
but
that?
we pay 50% in taxes. And I was like, oh, you're like
Whoa.
California. That's fine. And then I like Googled stuff like soda bread. And I
Hmm.
was like trying to sound
Oh,
cool because they eat this thing called soda bread. And he was like,
right,
it's literally the exact same thing, but we just use sparkling water to
right.
make the bread instead of regular water. So it makes it like airy. And then I started asking him about like leprechauns and the Loch Ness monster. And then that's when he was like, and respect him.
He's like, all right,
He was a good
we're
he was a
done
good
giving you
sport.
some culture.
No, he was a good sport because he was like, well, leprechauns did used to exist. And he was like, but now they're extinct. And I was like,
Is he fucking with us?
he was fucking with me
Okay.
because I was like, and the thing was, I kind of sat there for a second and
Right,
everyone's looking at me like I'm ridiculous for
right,
considering this. And then I'm
right,
like, guys, Vikings were real. Why couldn't
right.
leprechauns be?
That's-
And they were like, those are wildly different things. And I'm like, not
Are
really.
they?
Short people are alive. It's a leprechaun.
Open
I
your
don't know.
minds.
I, you know,
I like
I
that.
couldn't tell you where things are on like a map. And so I'm
Same.
not going to be the first one to like, I am a product of the American school system. So I'm just gonna, again, I'm a realist. I know what I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes. I like that. And we used to do like my family, we're not Irish at all, but we used to do corned beef and cabbage for St. Patrick's Day.
That the fact that you guys like really like went
That's
for it is
uh
great.
my mom's the type of person, if it's
Like
Easter,
every holiday.
there's an Easter tree that
That
holds Easter
Easter tree.
eggs.
That's not how you do eggs because you have to like go find the
Oh,
eggs.
it's part of it. You got the Easter tree, and then you go egg
What is
hunting.
an Easter tree? Is that a real thing?
It's basically when you live in Connecticut and you're too lazy to put down your Christmas tree, so you put Easter eggs on it.
Easter tree?
And then we do,
Sir,
and
I
then
literally just
Valentine's
Googled
Day,
it
there's
because
hearts
part of
on it.
me.
You know what I'm saying?
So you really kept your tree that long? You keep it till like
Well, it's
April?
not a real tree, but
Oh, but so that's even worse. It's so much easier to
Talk
put
to
the
my
fig
mother.
tree away. I don't
You
want
want
to
to
have
talk to
beef with your
Jill?
mom. I was like, I don't want to have beef with your mom.
She listens to this podcast. So hey, mom, how you doing?
You're gonna put all this beginning stuff on there?
This is all on. Yeah, 1000%.
Are
I
you
love
lying?
this. I'm swear to God. This is like my favorite parts of podcast.
See, that wasn't fair because I had no idea. So now I'm just like an
Wait, at the
embarrassment. It's
very
fine.
beginning, you're like, you're already recording.
I thought you just already recorded it, so that way you shouldn't forget to hit record, and then you like cropped
No,
it.
we do it
You don't do an
live,
intro or
beatbox
anything?
live. Huh? No, this
You
is
don't do
that was the intro.
What intro? Oh,
Am I
did you do it on
doing
your
this
own?
wrong?
Did you do it on your own? And like then that's when you let me in the room? You were already
Oh
recording?
no, this is straight like
Oh.
this is straight up.
We just started talking.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, I've never been on a podcast like that. Great.
Well, what a
So
treat.
Loch Ness Monster. All your humans are
So
probably like, this girl
Alex
is
thinks
nuts.
leprechauns are real. Very
I was
cool,
like, did I
very
say
cool.
anything bad? I'm like, now I'm worried.
No, if I could allow me to sum it up really quick, Alex wears parkas in 45-degree
I was gonna
weather.
say I was complaining about the weather in Texas, and I was questioning whether or not
Which, you know
leprechauns were
what?
real.
Very relatable. A lot of people complain about weather in
Great,
taxes. So it's very-
great.
And
Glad we
soda
can
bread.
relate. Glad we can relate.
So we're right on track there,
We're
guy.
just on a. I'm like, did I say anything wrong? No.
We're right
Okay.
on track. It's actually in my show notes. It's actually we touched on weather and leprechauns. So,
Great.
so we just had St.
Wonderful.
Patrick's Day.
It's relevant. I swear.
Zest. It
It
was,
came from somewhere.
I
I
just
usually
said
try not to
zest.
swear when I know it's recorded, so I will
Oh,
say
you're
that.
good. Well, you
And
know what?
that's not
You
to.
dropped it and you gave me permission to drop it once you dropped it. So it's been dropped. So we're good.
I do that on purpose, though. I do it on purpose to like not swear when I think it's being recorded for real. Not because I think that it's like it's interesting. Because I actually had this conversation with Beth when she was on my podcast
Mhm.
because she was saying that she feels like she's been like inauthentic if she doesn't swear because it's such a
Yeah.
natural thing to her. It is a very natural thing to me as well.
Right.
But I don't think it stops me from being myself only
Mhm.
because I don't have to think that hard about not swearing.
Yeah.
I just am a little bit more conscious, but I still
Right.
am wildly opinionated
Right. Well,
because I want people to get the help they need, and you have to be very
Right.
opinionated to do that sometimes.
for sure. Oh, well, 1000%. You gotta stand on some kind of hill if you're gonna offer your opinion up there.
It's taken me a really long time to accept the fact that you're gonna have to be unliked by people to have when you have like a strong stance on something.
Mhm.
Like even today on my story, I posted about how like someone had commented on a post that I just did, and they were like, it's not always men, or no, they said it's always men. Well, 9 out of times it's men. And like they kind of, and I commented back and I was like, hey, like I'm not trying to sound rude whatsoever by saying this. I really try not to say it's all men because it isn't always men. It just
Right.
happens to be men whose comments tend to be the top ones. And I just screenshot. If you have
Mhm.
a poo-poo comment, I screenshot it and you're going up there.
Right.
But I don't like specifically seek out men for the comments or
Right.
specifically seek out like anyone specific. I'm literally
Mhm.
like, what's the worst comment with like likes on? And usually it's like they'll push the ones with more likes and engagement.
Right.
But then I posted on my story and I like said my whole thing about why I don't do that.
Mhm.
Because I think that it's become so normalized to just hate men. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not fair. Like you can't, well, it's but people don't see the hypocrisy in it. And like,
Right.
and it's not, I always try and be careful with how I argue.
Mm.
Always. Because stooping down to other people's level doesn't solve anything.
Right.
And it usually discredits you, if anything. And so I always try to go with logic.
Mhm.
And I also try to come from a place of trying to educate, where I'm
Right.
like, hey, this is why I don't do that. If you choose to do that, cool, it's up to you. But it's not my thing. I also just realized that was the other thing that we talked about, my gamer chair.
Yes.
My ADHD and my gamer chair. I was like, we talked about something else. Because I was thinking about how I was moving away from the mic. And then I was like, this is all on your podcast where I'm like moving away from the mic, have my chair. I'm suddenly so self-aware of like all the things that I did.
I have a feeling I'm going to be on your poop list now. And as it's funny you call it a poop list because we call it a shit list in my family. It's like, oh, you're on my shit list now. It's like
Don't do that to people.
you're right. But I like what you said in terms of in terms of being able to, like, when you're forming your opinion, I like that you come from a place where it's like, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm not trying to make you feel like a piece of poo, right? But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give my own opinion, and I really like how you make an effort not to tear someone down in the process of that. You really
Yeah.
try to come at it in a way where it's explaining what was said, what the context is, and then just offer a much more optimistic point of view
People
from your
hate
place.
optimism for some reason. It's so fascinating to me
Yeah.
because whenever I talk about the fact that most people are successful if you're
Hmm.
encouraging and supportive to them,
Yeah.
people lose their minds because
Yeah.
they're like, not everyone. We're gonna go with the not everyone because this isn't everyone. But wild concept here. But it is wild to me how many people are like, I hate myself, and that's why I go to the gym. And I'm like,
Hmm.
that's so glad that that works for you.
Right.
I don't love that you hate yourself, but if that
Hmm.
how you like to show up in the world, then that's fine with me.
Yeah.
But people lose their minds at the
Yeah.
concept of just being a
Absolutely.
nice human being and
Yeah.
just supporting other people,
Hmm.
which is wild to me.
They do, and I think that ties in a lot of the messages I see from you, where you're a lot. I think your big mantra is like you can't hate yourself into into being the person that you love, right? Or
You're so close. It was funny. Austin Curran took and like posted. He put it on his page
hold on,
today, and I was like,
starting the podcast now.
now that you got it
Uh,
wrong, you clearly don't have any notes. No, I always say you'll never hate yourself into a body that you love. You're really close. You were real close. I was trying to see where you're gonna go with that one, and I was like, "Oh, is he
you
gonna
can
get it?"
tell I was just like
I need to make
tiptoeing.
merch about that. I really do.
Yeah, you do.
That and then don't be a dick merch.
Don't I like that was in your profile.
That's my
Don't-
other thing. I always tell people, don't be a dick. You'll
Yep.
never hate yourself into a body you love, and then the
Yep.
whole unpost and unbothered thing.
Yeah, no, I like don't be a dick. I think that's a great it's just a great rule for most people.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well, I say don't be a dick, especially to yourself.
yes, that's very true. You know, it's a great thing we could do right now is you can introduce yourself.
That's why I was so confused. I was like, we just go, you
There's
just
no
start a
structure here.
podcast.
Yeah, we just
I don't operate well on no structure. I'm a very tight
welcome to my world.
structured being.
Yeah.
Well, so to be fair, I'm technically organized chaos.
Yeah.
So like I have many things to do, but I still have
Hmm.
structure to them.
Yeah.
Um, so any hoodle. Hi everybody. My name's Alex and I'm an online fitness coach and also I am an educator online.
Hmm.
And what else am I supposed to introduce myself about? Just like who I was. I feel like this is such
That
an
was
unorganized thing where I
sit
don't
in
know
a
what else
gamer
to
chair.
say about myself. I sit in a gamer chair. I don't know where Ireland is on a map. I
Jury's out
know
on
it's near
leprechauns.
Italy. We
Yep.
don't know if leprechauns are real or not.
Could be. Vikings were.
Yeah. What'd you say?
We know Vikings are
Oh, Vikings are
for
real.
sure. They're in the same.
I was like, don't they come from like a similar place?
They come from Norway.
I think you're right. I think you
Could
are
be.
more
I played some
accurate on
video
that one.
games in my time that might have said they're from there.
I just know that Viking show with Super Hot Superman.
Oh, are you talking about Henry Cavill?
Yeah.
He's
I love that
good.
you can like put that together.
I know handsome Superman. He's
Like,
also
everyone knows the handsome
Geralt,
Superman.
I believe, in The Witcher. So.
Oh, that's the show I'm thinking of. So I guess he's
Oh,
not
you're
a
thinking The
Viking.
Witcher. Not
I've
a
never actually
Viking
watched
show.
it. I swear there's a Viking show. I think
There's a
Alexander
Viking show.
Skarsgård is in the Viking
Uh-huh.
show.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways,
Yeah.
online fitness coach, online
That was
creator.
I love this. This is great.
I'm
Anyways,
chaotic.
I and this I know it's a little chaotic here in this podcast, but the reason I like doing that is because it's just more I don't know.
Authentic.
I like getting to know people on the who I have on the
On the
podcast.
podcast.
I like just having a conversation and seeing where
Have
it
you had
goes.
Jordan Lips on the podcast?
I had him on a few weeks ago. He's the man.
You know, I was literally like, I could see you guys having just such chaotic energy together. That's the reason I just was like, wow, I feel like that would be great.
He made me giggle for a good amount of time. Like
I can imagine. Okay, that was why I was like, I feel like if that hasn't happened yet, it has to happen
Yeah.
because like I could just see that vibing so well.
Yeah.
Because
Actually,
I
that
remember the first
episode
time I
aired
met
today.
him, he scared me. Oh,
He scared you on purpose?
he was so off-putting at first. No,
He
'Cause
came out of the
he's
corner.
he's so much energy. I was like,
Is he?
wow. And I've been told okay. I like how you're like, is he? I'm like, okay, I guess you are too. I know I'm a lot of energy, but like when other people are like heightened versions of my energy, I'm
Mm,
so nervous. Like I
really?
met speaking of Irish people, I met Rob
What?
Lipsett, who he's
Oh,
like Irish.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
And
you
he
came.
was
I used to follow all those guys.
I know, I love all of his videos.
Hmm.
So when I met him, I was terrified at first because he's so high
Is he your
energy.
leprechaun source?
He's not.
Okay.
He would have been a great source. I
He
do
would
have a
have been a
different
great
friend who has
source.
a different. There were many Ireland natives
Hmm.
there at the event that I was at, and
Hmm.
so it was wild, but it was cool. There was because Irish people are like they're a lot of energy. I didn't know
Yeah,
that. I don't
for
think I've ever
sure.
like met an Irish person. So I had to point to that. Oh, it was just really it's always alarming to me when I meet people who are
Hmm.
like significantly higher energy than me
Yeah,
because I'm like, wow, this exists. And I'm
yeah.
always respectful of it. Like I'm always like, oh, I started that because of Jordan. Because I was like,
Jordan Miles. That's
yeah.
right.
I was like, I see you guys having chaotic energy together and it'd be great.
I feel
I feel
like
like now I feel like I am a mom because you're like, you give off like mom energy. And I'm
you
like,
kids
oh,
gotta
have you met
calm down.
this? Like you guys have no, it's not you
Do
guys
you
kids have to
have you two
calm
met?
down. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you guys
No
friends?
soda for you guys. Can't have you getting more a little crazy.
Yeah, no Mountain Dew for you.
That's
I'm all hopped up on Mountain Dew. That would be you guys. You guys would be like the
Sean Pitt.
chaotic kids from Talladega Nights.
Wow,
Ricky
what a
Bobby,
reference. Yeah, I know what you're. Wow,
Will
you're.
Ferrell.
It's
Will
Will
Ferrell's my
Ferrell.
bread and butter. Some people are Adam Sandler people.
I
Some
love them
people are
both.
Jim Carrey people. I'm a Will Ferrell person.
I mean, we kind of grew up with all of them. I mean, Will
We sure
Ferrell.
did.
Will Ferrell is probably like if I'm gonna watch. I mean, my original favorite comedy movies, Big Daddy with Adam Sandler.
Fair.
Okay, but Will
Yeah, I know all those
Ferrell,
movies.
Anchorman, obviously is like one of my
It's funny. I'm
favorites.
more of a Step Brothers gal.
Step Brothers is
And
great.
people hate on me for it now. They're like, once you get
Why?
older, you realize how bad Step Brothers is. And I was like, that's literally the point. There's
Older.
nothing
How
about
does
it
one
that's
get older?
good. What do you mean?
What do you mean get old?
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 32.
Are you really? I thought you were
Yeah.
younger than I was. I really thought you were like
Oh,
26.
look at my skincare routine is really paying
It was
off
more
these
your
days.
energy.
But well, let's talk about my
You're like, damn
skincare
it.
routine. Fuck. Hold on. All this rambunctiousness made me unplug my headphones. All right, I'm back. Anyways,
I thought Jordan was really young too, so it's fine.
well, how old is he? I don't even know.
I actually don't. I think
What?
he's around your same age.
You guys are the same age. Okay. Well, let's
We're
let's
all in
get
our
it.
30s. We're
Let's
too
get
old for
into the
this.
shit. How old are you?
I'm 30. I said that
Oh, on the
earlier.
dot.
Yeah, I'm
Very
30. I
nice.
literally turned 30 almost 2 months ago.
Wow. Welcome. It's a good
Thanks.
club.
It is. I feel
Scary
like people get
club.
so scared of getting older. Did you say scary?
I was scared when I was like
Why are
20.
people so scared of getting older?
I was just scared to get hit in my 30s. I don't know. For me, when I was a kid, I like never pictured myself in my 30s. It was always just like,
I
I don't
still
think
feel
I
like
ever
I'm like
pictured it.
21. I really like, I'm like, how did 10 years just pass by?
Yeah.
Like, I definitely don't process, like, when people say time flies, you
Hmm.
don't accept that, I think, until
Right.
you're 30. Like, I don't
Absolutely.
think you really believe it until you're like, wow, I'm 30. How did
Hmm.
college and everything like,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, there's people who are still 30, like going to college because they're getting their
Hmm.
PhDs and things,
Oh
but
yeah.
still. So like they're like, I'm not even out of school yet.
I like how you're people
Um,
pleasing for them
I
to account for that.
I know you guys are there. I always am thinking about other people. It's
Stop,
fine.
stop it.
No, it's my life. I always want people to be happy.
Well, I love
Okay.
that.
I
And
feel
I
like you're gonna
think
ask something or say something.
I
And
don't
I'm like,
remember, but I would like to say that my 10-year college anniversary is coming up in May, which is freaking crazy. Like that scares me because I'm just like, holy crap. I
for me, it
remember.
was college. It was a high school 10-year reunion. That was one that freaked me out. I was
Oh
like, ooh,
yeah. Yeah.
I definitely didn't go, but
Yeah. No, that was scary. I actually showed up fashionably late to my reunion because I was just nervous to go.
I don't know what it would be like to go back to my high school reunion. So too
You
late
didn't
now.
go?
Already missed. No.
Come on.
I
It
was
was
not the
fun.
best person in high school.
You weren't?
No, I like struggled a lot with like trauma and stuff like that. And
Mm,
so I struggled a lot with like fitting in.
yeah.
I didn't treat people the best. I was like wildly insecure,
Mm,
very focused on trying to be popular. And then like
yeah.
when I did start to make friends, didn't treat them the way that they probably should have been treated.
Mm,
So that's why like I am so aware of the things that I talk about now, because
yeah.
literally like leaving high school, by the time I turned, I think like 21, 22 is when I really started to realize that like, wow, you're really not showing up as like a person you really want to be.
Mm,
And it's funny because I've had this conversation with a lot of friends who I've known since I was like 18, 19. And a lot of them were like, I feel like you're so much harder on yourself than you realize. And I'm like,
mm,
yeah, maybe it's because like in high school, I feel like it was so different.
yeah.
Um, but after high school, I still like was like struggling with a lot of stuff. And so yeah, I didn't really want to go back to my high school reunion because I didn't
Mm.
really want to like get pulled back into, I don't think I would have been pulled back into it.
You just didn't want to put yourself in that environment
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
I don't like, as messed up as it sounds, I don't miss anyone from high school. I wasn't
Hmm.
close to anyone really. I
Right.
have like a handful of friends that I'm still know from there. But everyone else, it was really just like I was struggling, so I didn't know how to handle my stuff.
Hmm.
We were all young. We didn't know how to handle our stuff. So like when I would be in drama, it was handled so badly. And I didn't treat people the way that they should have
Right.
been treated either. So I like acknowledged that. But then also
Hmm.
like there were people who were literally telling me to like off myself and like do all this
Wow.
stuff. And so oh, it was bad.
High
So
school is brutal, man. It's really brutal. Do
we had a
you,
wild high school.
yeah. Well, that
Yeah.
Cali life.
Yeah, we were because we're like the Bay Area high school that has like all the suicides.
Oh, wow.
We had like six in the time that I was
Are
in
you
school.
serious?
Yeah, so from my
Wow.
freshman year to my senior year, we had six suicides, and they started my freshman
Wow.
year. And we also had parties every single weekend because everyone's parents are like CEOs and
Yeah.
big rich people. All the kids in my school had like Mercedes and
Yeah.
BMWs and these really fancy cars that their parents bought them.
Hmm.
Um, so it was just definitely like and it's weird because I like talk to people about it. And I'll be like, yeah, we were like drinking and partying, and people were like doing
Right.
coke and stuff like that in high
Wow.
school.
Yeah, yeah,
And like
yeah.
I tell people, and they're like, in high school, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like people
Damn.
be like rolling in high school, and I was like, I, I am glad I never tried it, but I
Right.
was still like, it was just wild.
That's like straight out of the OC, the show. And that's
And that was
that,
high school.
that's right. That's crazy. You mentioned that it wasn't until like 21, 22 that you really started to develop more awareness around yourself. Was there like
Yeah.
a specific thing that happened where you're like, I need to start taking more stock into the person that I am, the person I want to become? Like, what was kind of
Yeah.
like that catalyst?
So technically it started when I was 18. My boyfriend passed away from a drug overdose. And then that kind of started the catalyst of like more, it like piled on to trauma I already
Mm,
had.
yeah.
And then I realized because I like turned to drinking and partying to kind of just numb that.
Hmm.
And that was also the friends that I had. Like that was what they did. That was what was fun for
Right.
everybody. But then I was also going to school for musical theater, and
Cool.
it was fun. And then literally like in probably like a 6 month span. So by the end of like my freshman year of college, I finally realized like, what are you doing?
Mm,
And then that summer I got a Groupon for like a fitness class, and I started hanging out with more fitness people, and I started
yeah.
slowly like separating myself from like party people.
Hmm.
But then as that progressed and I started getting onto like a health and fitness journey, I like stopped drinking soda. I started only drink black coffee.
Yeah.
I like went vegan. I was running all the time. And then I joined a gym. At that gym, I made a bunch of great friends. I met a handful of people who were very into partying again, but they're
Hmm.
all like health, like
Right.
the gym space. It's like a
Yeah.
lot of the party people, they tend to do like harder drugs because they're like zero
Right.
calories.
Right.
And so it kind of brought me back into it.
Yeah.
And I would like start drinking again, and I would start like staying out late again and doing all these things when I had like really made this huge shift to like live a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to like kind of get pulled back into it. And then
Mm,
at like 21, 22, I started dating somebody who like he had never been drunk before in his life.
wow.
And he was very like rigid in
Straight
things.
edge.
Yeah. And one of the nicest humans on the planet. We just like we were ended up being together for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a long relationship, but when we started dating, he gave me a lot of the confidence to start to set more boundaries around like not drinking. And that
Yeah.
was when I stopped drinking. So that was back in 2015.
Wow.
So
You haven't drank since then?
it's funny because I always say 6 years because I'm just so used to, I feel like 2020 like ruined my times, like
A lot
concept
of
of
us.
time. Because I just keep thinking it's like 2020 because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, like 6 years. And I'm like, oh, that's
Right.
not what that is anymore. So I'm like, it's almost 10 years. And I've had like probably like 5 to 7 drinks in the
Yeah.
span of the last 10 years or like
Wow.
9 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's um so yeah, I stopped drinking, which was really helpful. And
Mm-hmm.
then got into like competing and I just started trying new things. And like, I think those were all the catalysts to start doing it. But
Yeah.
then it gave me a lot more confidence to just try things and
Yeah.
suck at things and be okay with that.
Right. Well, I love that. I love that you kind of got put back into a place where it made you almost face those same traumas you faced before, like in high school.
Mhm.
So you were almost presented with
Yeah.
that same scenario, but at the same time, it was good because it sort of gave you that reminder of, hey, like this is
Mhm.
what you're not trying to be or what you're not trying to get
Yeah.
into, right? So I love that you were sort of presented with that challenge again, and you
Mhm.
kind of rose to it differently this time around.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Too, not again, nothing to do with fitness. Love that you're a musical theater because I heard you sing a little Little Mermaid not too long ago. And
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
okay. Bravo, bravo. But, uh
Thanks.
it's
I know, but
very good.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
I lost my voice last week, and so I'm still getting it back. And
Just
so I'm
like
like,
Little
oh,
Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, there you go. Uh,
Wait.
hold on here. I know
Did you
you can't
happen
see
to
my
see an
legs.
octopus on your episode?
I did want to touch a little bit on what you just said though,
Yeah,
because um, what's interesting is a lot of people think that you need to avoid your triggers like the
yeah,
plague,
for sure.
and they get really scared of it. And I feel really grateful to have been thrown back into tough situations multiple
Yeah.
times because getting triggered is the only way to work through your triggers.
Mm,
And it was
true.
interesting because my friend Jordan is a therapist and she's an attachment theory therapist. And she's really interesting because she brought up a great point where a lot of people want to be single and like work on themselves when they're
Yeah.
single. And I was like that. Like I took like a year and a half off of like dating and I
Hmm.
was like, I don't want to deal with it. I want to focus on myself, which was
Right.
great. Started dated a really frustrating human being and
Hmm.
he ended up triggering me a bunch and it was actually great because I got to like work through it.
Yeah.
But her whole point was like, you're going to work on these things on your own and you're going to think I'm fine, but you're
Right.
never going to actually get triggered
True.
and get to know how you respond to it. So
Yeah.
like the best way to work through that stuff in a safe way
Hmm.
is to get triggered and to
Right.
then actively try to be working on it. And the reason I bring that up is, especially in the health and fitness space,
Yeah.
we see it so often where people think, like similar to what I said, like I made this huge shift to be like healthy. But then in reality, I just cut out all these things and was like, I'm never partying again. I'm never doing those things. The second I got sucked back into it, it felt so easy for me to go
Mm,
back to those habits because
yeah.
I was like, I just removed myself from the situations, removed myself from the people. But then the second those people and those situations were around again, I just fell right back into my old habits.
Yeah.
So then it took having a better support system to be able to truly change the habit. So then that way, even when
Mm,
I do go out with friends or I do go out and do things, I don't
right.
drink.
Right. I think that is an incredible. I like how you're bringing more structure than my podcast, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you for running this show for me because I love that.
I'm like, we can talk about singing again if you want. That's fine.
No, perfect. But I do think that is so true because I think whether it's like someone struggles with stress eating or emotional eating or foods that they find triggering, right? I think that's there's certain situations where it's important to remove yourself from either those environments or the situations like temporarily just to kind of
Mhm.
get back to neutral, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that is so true. Like if like the people who think that they need to give up carbs or they can't eat certain foods or anything like that. It's
Mhm.
like, if like ask yourself, do I ever envision having like a donut again? If you're like, no,
Yeah.
then I'm like, cool, you're good. But
Awesome.
but if you're like passing by a bake shop and you're like, this donut looks freaking amazing, and like you plan on eating them
Smell
again,
it.
like you you get those
That
smells
smell,
going in.
it hits you hard.
It's
That sounds weird. I feel like for me, I'm like, you smell a good pastry. You know, when you're in
yeah.
Costco, you're getting your vegetables and then they put
Hey,
all of the
executive
pastries.
member here. I know.
The, like that's your flex. I have the
Do I-
executive membership. I have the basic one. I just need to get in, get my
You're
food.
missing out on the rebates.
I may
Don't you?
need to get it because my dog needs uh pet
Oh,
insurance. And
tears.
I heard their pet insurance. Did she have tears?
Yeah, it's just.
You have such chaotic energy.
Oh, thank you. But go on, you're definitely insurance.
No, now we've like diverted again. I had brought structure and then I ruined it when I talked about the
No, it's
bakery at
fine.
Costco.
It's great. No, I mean, let's
You walk by something, you
it
see
Pepe Le
it, you
Pews you, right?
smell
Like you're
it.
like you start following it, right? So I think it's true because like if you eventually want to have these foods or like you want to have like a good relationship with food or anything like that, like you're going to have to eventually face those
Mhm.
fears of facing, I can have this in moderation or like just even like I had a client today. She's a therapist and she works on trauma stuff with people all the time and like she sent me a photo of their break room. It's covered with like delicious food. I'm like, what is this? Like a food shelter? Like there's like Tostitos, there's salsa, like there's Costco baked cookies. I'm just like, what the fuck is that? So it's like, and that's why it's a good thing where it's like, okay, like you have to be around these things in order to
Mhm.
grow from these things, which is
Yeah.
again, like your journey yourself, where you had to go through those things in order to almost like level up, right? In order for you to
Mhm.
evolve and get to the Little Mermaid sequel.
I mean, I didn't get my master's in
Okay.
musical theater, if that kind of ruins the sequel, the concept there.
Well, don't give up. But what
Hey.
was and so what's like your
You're like, she ruined it. She ruined it.
All right, I should have brought tissues. The what's- I have the giggles now. Anyways, what's kind of your journey with like your relationship with food? Because you went through a period where you kind of had like maybe like a stricter relationship with food or fitness or anything. Like what was kind of like your journey and what was the work you needed to do in order to create a better body image, better relationship with food, all that.
Yeah. So I struggled with orthorexia probably first, which I didn't realize at the time because I
Mm,
went like full vegan and I was like, then I went kind of like paleo. So I always stuck to like quote clean eating,
yeah,
not understanding that you can still overeat when you eat clean.
right.
And then I also was a runner. And so I was doing like half marathons. And
Hmm.
so I would just run so much that I just lost a lot of weight. But then I got into powerlifting because I started like working out, strength training, got into powerlifting, totally like rebounded weight wise because like in that
Hmm.
environment you tend to like just eat whatever and like
Right,
that's kind of what you're surrounded by and there was no education around like macros or anything like that yet.
right.
And then I struggled with binge eating for a while and it was really interesting because like and this is where I feel like as of now many eating disorders have gotten way too popularized
Mm,
where people will say they binge eat when they
right,
like overconsume. And this isn't to minimize people's feelings. It's not to say that like you are wrong or the things that the way you're viewing this situation is wrong. It's just to
right.
consider, is it truly binge eating?
Hmm.
Because to me, what I would do is I would be in a place where I was so emotionally drained or frustrated where I would then turn to food as a way to cope and numb
Hmm.
the emotions and eat to the point where I was extremely uncomfortable and in
Hmm.
pain. And I was almost using it as a way to like abuse myself.
Hmm.
And so I had to relearn a healthy relationship with myself first. Then I got into bikini competitions.
Okay.
And from there, I lost a bunch of weight again because I had like a meal plan to follow. And then I started eventually eating like 900 calories a day.
Yep.
So kind of fell back into like orthorexia and just kind of like fearing food as like a whole.
Yeah.
And that's when I found like Lane Norton, Paul Revelia, like all the kind of OGs in the space,
Mm-hmm.
and just started binge watching all their stuff and kind of loved the fact. It's funny because so many people don't like Lane. And I'm like, why? I'm like, he's
Right.
just, and the thing, I was recently informed. Here's a nice one for everybody. I was recently informed that I have a tendency to be very emotionally attached from things
Okay.
because I'm very logically driven. Like my dad just raised me that way. And it's funny, I
Mm-hmm.
have a twin brother. We're the
Oh,
opposite. He's
cool.
so emotional, and
Yeah.
it's sometimes very alarming to me where I'm like, oh, that's right, Alex. People feel things and it's
Yeah.
okay. And it's funny because I'm a very loving human. I love my
Yeah.
sisters. I love my brother. I like am a very loving human.
Yeah.
But like in situations, I have been trained to
Mm.
shut off my emotions and think logically about it because I'm
Right.
like, okay, the emotions don't matter right now. I just do this. And I bring that up because that's how Lane is. Like he's just
Yeah.
very like, this is the logic behind the things that I'm saying. And it's like,
Right.
why are you guys so upset?
Right.
So I bring that up because again, as of late, I've noticed many people tend to get very defensive if you have a different opinion than them.
Right.
And that's why I think it's so important not to attack people's character, because I'm like, I don't want you to be shut down when
Mm-hmm.
we have this conversation. And if you think I'm trying to attack you, that's what's going to happen. So I
Mm-hmm.
just bring that up for anyone who like looks up Lane Norton, who's like, oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
gosh.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found all that stuff and started just kind of learning more. And by getting more education on things, it just
Yeah.
helped me. And that's weirdly enough what kind of helped my relationship with food was like
Yeah.
working through all the BS out there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's such a, I mean, I think that is a big pathway for a lot of people in order to create a better relationship with food is like having the actual education to
Yeah.
give you something to fall back on, right? Because I think
Mhm.
like for me, I used to struggle with binge eating too, and like I was doing like the same thing as you, and it was because I didn't have the knowledge to understand like, okay, well, this is the
Mhm.
actual science behind this. This is the science behind this. This is how calories in, calories out work. And then,
Mhm.
from there you slowly build up like, well, you can't have California Pizza Kitchen every day because you should probably get some vegetables in. True story.
You definitely can.
You can,
It's
but
just
I
you're
need
paying a
some
lot for
veggies.
like not very fun food.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the kicker, right?
Right.
It's setting clear expectations, because what
Right.
people don't like to hear is you could go out to eat
Yeah.
every single day and still reach your goals.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're suddenly paying 12 to 20 to maybe $30 for a
Right.
meal that would be like way more basic. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're going out to eat every single meal, no, I'm sorry, you can't get pizza every single time because it's not going to
Okay,
align with
mom.
your goals. But like to be fair, actually, okay, here, let me give the caveat there. Could you actually eat pizza every single day and still reach your goals? Yeah. It
Mm-hmm.
would probably look a little bit different. Like
Right.
I could do probably one or two slices of pizza and then have a
Yep.
side salad, pack it with a bunch of protein and veggies. There
Mm-hmm.
you go. You now have a balanced meal.
Yep.
Um, but like when people tend to go out to eat, they tend to want to get the fun thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what becomes like the barrier,
Mm-hmm.
because like I just went to Kava today and I knew that like my food had been a little wonky for the past couple weeks because of
Uh-huh.
traveling and stuff. And so like I got no carbs because I was like, okay, I want to have sweet potato fries when I get home. So I
Mm-hmm.
got just like a salad thing, had a bunch of chicken, added like all of the vegetables on it,
Yep.
had two things of like the hummus. And so I like made it like a balanced plate.
Right.
But like most people, when they go, they're not going to want to do that. They're going to want
Right.
to, even at kava, but it's like, they're going to want, do you even know what kava is?
I like I like
I just realized that because it's not in California, is it? I don't
I
think it's in
I've never had kava.
California. Do you know what it is?
Is it like
It's
sweet greens?
smacks. No,
Sma-
it's better than sweet greens.
That
It
shit smacks,
shits
baby.
on Chipotle. It shits on Chipotle. I hate
Oh, it's
Chipotle.
Mexican?
Hear this, Chipotle. I hate you. They gave me food
It's our
poisoning.
sponsor. It's our sponsor.
I hope they are. Drop them. No. No, I really hate Chipotle because they gave me food poisoning once and I'm never gonna let them live it down.
Wow. I
Have I
did.
still eaten it since then? Yes, I have. But
Oh, you had the romaine.
yeah,
You
I
got
love
the
how
E.
everyone
coli.
just knows. I was dying for like 3 days, and it was
Yeah.
literally like it literally happened 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And I had already bought all of this wonderful barbecue because I'm in
Hmm.
Texas now.
Yeah.
All this wonderful barbecue food. Oh my gosh, I also realized some other stuff that we talked about was me like hating on California and not really loving the
Wasn't
Texas weather. People are
hating.
gonna hate me.
Well,
People are gonna hate me. Fine.
not good for your fan base, but it's
I There's some opinions that I keep a little closer to the net because I'm just like, this isn't relevant to fitness.
I love
I
it
don't
though.
want people from Texas to hate me.
Let's bring it back to where, hey, you experience a tough time with Chipotle, right? Like
Look what you've
you had
done.
the hot
You've
shits,
created
you had the pukes,
chaotic
right?
energy in my
And
brain where I can't keep things straight as I'm
I
speaking anymore.
listen,
I used to be
I'm
so
just
good
going
at
off
that.
your energy. You came at me with gaming chair, leg extension, it's bouncing back and forth.
It's
I
fine.
but hey, you had E. coli, and what'd you do? You said, you know
I
what?
almost
That's not gonna
died.
stop me from ever having Chipotle again, right? So
I'm gonna
just
be honest, it's a convenience thing for Chipotle, and it's because other people want to go there. I've probably had it 3 times since
yeah,
that happened, and that
yeah,
was a year ago. It was a year and
yeah,
a half ago.
yeah.
So I've only had it 3 times in that time because Kava is way better and you get more for paying less.
Right.
They don't charge you
And
$5 for everything.
exactly why you should get a Costco executive membership. And this episode is sponsored by Costco.
If it was actually, that'd be really cool.
That
I
would
don't
be
think it
awesome.
is,
My
but
dream.
I don't think I've ever heard Costco sponsor anything. People are
I'm
gonna listen to this and be like,
uh
I've never heard Alex talk like this in a podcast.
good. Then my mission's accomplished.
It's because I'm not this chaotic. I like organization.
Well, this is organized. This is very
I want people
organized.
to leave with tangible things.
All right, well then let's
That's
finish these last 15 minutes with very tangible things.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So we were talking about your relationship with food. Okay.
Yes.
I'll be structured. We were talking about
Okay,
your very
okay.
relationship with food, right?
Yes.
And how that you needed to have the education to sort of give you that footing to start creating a better relationship with food, right?
Mhm.
How have you sort of brought that into coaching, and how have you, I guess, what's like an ideal way for somebody to shape their goal if they're starting off in a place maybe where you did, in order to get themselves in a better place where they have a good relationship with food, and maybe reshape their goals.
When you say shape their goals, do you mean like what should they be focusing on while they're
Yeah,
doing that?
yeah.
Okay. So it's actually funny. We just did a new intro video for that reason
Oh,
because like a
perfecto.
welcome video for new clients.
I love that.
Because I think that way too many people focus on getting as small as possible.
Mhm.
My like Roman Empire, I don't know how like do you like the TikTok
I'm on the
meme?
TikTok.
Okay. So I just think it's so funny. I'm always like, okay, this has been like my 6th podcast where I've gone on and like said this, and I'm like, people are gonna think I'm psycho at this point. But it's a good Roman Empire. My Roman Empire is the fact that the world, like especially the did water just come out of your nose?
Just keep talking. Just keep going.
Uh, um, it's the fact that the US has normalized the fact that all of the conversations revolve around how small people can get. And it's all about losing weight. When most people don't need to learn how to lose weight because most
Mhm.
people have done it before. They've proven to themselves they can do it. They've just been failed by the system. And so they don't
Right.
know how to actually maintain the results that they want.
Right.
And so that's like my Roman Empire is I always think about the fact that like it is such a huge conversation to
Mm,
always talk about getting as small as possible.
yeah.
And the trick, so this is going back to your goals question.
Yeah.
The trick is you need to shift your goals from thinking about how small I can get, thinking how much weight I can lose. There's nothing wrong with those goals either. Like I think it's so important to caveat that before I continue because so
Yeah.
many people also are like, you're telling me I can never lose weight. I've literally been told I'm promoting obesity by telling people those things. And I'm like,
Mm,
no, I'm not saying like, don't lose weight. I'm not
right.
saying don't try to change your body. I'm saying don't make that your sole focus because the moment the scale goes in a direction you don't want it to, you're going to feel
Right.
like shit about yourself.
For
And you're
sure.
going to think that like the world is falling apart. What's the point? I shouldn't even keep trying.
Yeah.
So, the goals that people should be focusing on is figuring out ways to live a lifestyle that aligns with the person that they say they want to be. If you
Mm,
don't know who you say you want to be, figure it out. And
yeah.
like we have a lot of like goal clarity worksheets. We also have a lot of like kind of structured. A lot of times when we do like a vision and goal sheet with people is we take like the end result goal that they hope to have, and then we
Mm,
basically like work backwards and we figure
mhm.
out what are the steps that we need to get them to be able to do consistently, and how can
Right.
we get them to do it on like a minute level first.
Right.
Like, say someone's goal is to work out 5 days a week and be able to do a pull up. So it's like, but that person's never gonna pull up. They also currently don't work out. So we're gonna like step back and we're gonna be like, cool, we just need to get you to move consistently
Yep.
first. People hate hearing that.
Right.
They hate it because it's so unsexy and it's so
Oh, it's not at
mundane.
all. Yeah.
It's not dopamine hitting.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, can we get you to walk 5 days a week?
Yep.
Can we get you into the gym like maybe two?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then we slowly build on that. So people need to shift their goal to basically focusing on figuring out what life they actually want to live.
Yeah.
I actually put that on my story the other day. I don't remember exactly how I said it, but a lot of people messaged me, were like, I hope you don't mind, I screenshotted it. And I was like, I hope you guys know that I don't get notified that you screenshot it. It's fine.
Right.
But I was some people, and that's great. I'm like, I love it. Love that you love it.
Right.
Um, but people need to set better expectations
Mm,
about the life that they want to live,
right.
because a lot of people see celebrities, they see influencers, they see just people, general people online, and they see them either looking a certain way, living a
Mm,
life they think that they're living. Obviously, we never know the true full details of anyone's life
for sure.
unless we're actually there. Um, but then they have to ask themselves, like, do you actually want to do the things that that person does on a day-to-day basis?
Mm,
Like even just a boring example is like me. Like people see me post online and stuff. I love when I go to the gym. I dance, I have such a great time. But it's like, so I go to the gym regularly. Is that something you actually want to do? It's a good question to ask yourself. But then like they also see me like posting content online. And I'm like, that's like 5 minutes out of my day. It's like
mhm.
I think about stuff that I want people to benefit from. I think about things that I wish my sisters could see and can
Right.
like digest and understand. So in that way, like they don't grow up the same way that I did.
Mm,
But then other than that, like I'm literally on my computer most of the day, like talking to
mm-hmm.
clients, checking in on my assistant coaches' clients. And I'm like, do you want to live that life? Or do you want to live like an Alex Earl life where like she's out, she's traveling all the time, she's like doing like commercials and doing those things? Or do you want to like work for like UPS and like have a union job and feel really secure with your business and like get it your paycheck and be able to come home and get off at 5 p.m. every single day and like
Mm-hmm.
know your schedule? And it's like there's nothing wrong with any of the different lifestyles. I just named
Mm-hmm.
three pretty weirdly different ones, but it's like whatever lifestyle you say you want to live is fine as long as it
Mm-hmm.
makes you happy, obviously, and
Right.
is secure for you. But it's like you have to actually ask yourself, like, is this the life I truly want to live?
Mm, yeah. I think that's
But it's
so
the same
true.
thing with the body.
Yeah.
They
Absolutely.
don't
And
realize the body that they want is going to require probably more than they think.
yeah. I think I like how you so basically like reverse engineer it based off like what their end want is, right? Because I think a
Hmm.
lot of people say whether they want to lose weight, whether they want to do a pull up, whether they want to work out 5 days a week. It's like you say you want these things, but what does that actually look like, right? What's the map of that look like and how are we going to
Hmm.
get there, right? And I think you point out a great thing where it's like, well, let's look at what the beginning looks like, not the
Hmm.
end goal, right? Because if we rush to the end goal, like a lot of people do, it feels discouraging. It could feel
Hmm.
very, you could feel shame or guilt if you're not like living up to these high
Hmm.
expectations that is end goal you, right? And I
Yeah.
I wrote down it because you said not sexiest. It's kind of like it's a love is blind approach, really, is what it is. Is we have to we have to like get to know the you who
Yeah.
is eventually trying to get to this end place,
Hmm.
and you have to do it by doing the unsexy things because the unsexy things are what we all do in our day to day, right?
Yeah. It's like Usain Bolt. He like
Mm-hmm.
he trains like 40 hours a week or something. He's like, it's obviously his full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anymore. I don't know if he still runs or not,
I
but
was gonna say
it's
it
like
might be.
I was like, I don't know. But it's like he would do all of that to run for like 5 seconds.
Right.
Like he's the fastest person in the world. His runs were so fast.
Right.
And he would be running for 5 seconds. That was his end
Mm-hmm.
result. But if that's all he ever cared about, think of like, do you really think he would have shown up for all of the training, all of the
Right.
workouts, all of the things. Like that's the big secret for everybody. They don't, it's not
Mm,
that they are chasing that end moment. It's that they like,
right.
they love the process of doing it.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's a great place to transition to our last question. So there is some structure to this
Oh, okay. I
podcast.
like it.
I know one question I will ask everybody. So
Okay.
the name of this podcast, for some of the
First
podcast
time
name,
hearing the name. No, I'm just kidding. You tell me
it's
again.
right. Welcome to the podcast. But the name of this podcast is These Little Moments Podcast, right?
Yes.
And the reason it's called that is because, a big moment in my life was I was at a seminar and I, for the first time ever, like told people I struggle with anxiety, depression in front of like a group of people for like the first time.
Mhm.
And it was just a big moment for me that really began my own journey for vulnerability and creating just a better headspace for myself. So
Mhm.
if you can think back on your life, like what's a little moment that really sticks out to you that really was a catalyst for the person you are now?
That is such a good
Oh,
question.
thank you.
Do people take a while to think of an
Yeah,
answer?
take your time. I could just
Okay,
I
because
could
I was
fill
like,
space here. You
because I'm like, that's a really hard question of
yeah.
like a moment that I feel like,
A whole new world. Keep going.
doesn't have
I'm
anything.
filling space.
Well, it's hard because I feel like there's like a lot that I can think of.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's like if someone asked me this question, I'd be like, "You're an asshole," because this is a deep
Because you're like, I've
question,
already
and
sat and thought about it.
right.
Well, it is interesting because in my head, I'm like, is it like the deep moments or is it like
Mm,
maybe something that isn't like that profound, but like it
yeah.
did play a big role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of already talked about it. It probably was like the the call the next morning after my boyfriend passed away.
Mm,
Um, because it was it was a really big moment that like it, I mean, it changed my whole life
yeah.
because if that didn't happen, I probably would have kept partying. And I mean, I obviously did for a little bit, but it wouldn't have been driven for the same reasons.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think that because what had happened, and I don't know which context people tend to give, but like the night before, we had ended up getting in a fight, and I was supposed to go over to
Mm,
his house, and I
yeah.
was like, no, I don't want to. Like, I'll see you tomorrow instead. Go to work the next morning and like hadn't heard from him. And then I'm like, hey, like, I know we got in that fight. I can't wait to see you later, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Still didn't hear anything. Get through work, open my phone, have like tons of mixed messages and missed calls. And
Mm,
then like see some that are like, did you hear what happened? How are you doing? What's going on?
wow.
Try calling him. He doesn't answer. And then I called my friend and they were like, did you hear? And then he tells me everything that happened.
Wow.
And it was just like, that was a really pivotal moment for me because for so much, and that maybe that is why I tend to be more like motherly to
Yeah.
people too, I guess. Um, because I want people to be okay. Like I want
Mm,
people to know that they're not alone with things. For so much of that time, I blamed myself and I thought that it was my fault.
mm,
And I felt like if I had gone there, it would have been different. And even as parents were like, well, no, if you were there, it probably would have happened.
yeah.
Either you would have woken up in the middle of the night when it was happening,
Yeah.
or you would have seen it in the morning and it would have been even significantly more traumatizing for you. And I'm
Right.
like, okay.
Yeah.
So I had, what was it, survivor's guilt for a really long
Mm,
time. But then I was always like, I had my own things that I needed to work through as well.
yeah.
So I think that was a really pivotal moment for me because I wasn't into fitness before then. I
Mm,
wasn't working out really or anything. And I was kind of living a life with no purpose.
yeah.
And it eventually started the trajectory for me to do those things.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I think that's well, thank you one for being vulnerable. I think that is that's such a huge moment in anybody's life, like to
Yeah.
experience death, let alone like it being someone you're very close to, and
Hmm.
especially at that age, I think it is such a shaping type of uh situation where a lot of people can go either way from that. So I think for
Yeah.
you to sort of be able now, especially to take a step back and kind of look at it and say like, well, this is what I learned from it, and this is
Hmm.
why I love in the way I love, and this is why I am the way I am. I think that's the beauty of that little moment is
Mhm.
it from an optimistic perspective, it made you into the very loving person you are today, who sits in gaming chairs, who has their legs up on leg extensions, and has some hard feelings for both Palo Alto and Houston, Texas.
My only hard feelings for Palo Alto is that it's so expensive. I would
It's too
live
late.
there in
It's
a
on the-
heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I literally talked to my dad about that yesterday. I was like,
Yeah.
Dad, I miss living with you.
Oh yeah. I love
I
that.
love
Well,
my
plus
dad.
family's there too, right? And you seem like a very big family person,
I
so
am. Every
it's
single
not
one of my
easy.
family members is in California.
Yeah, all my family's in Connecticut, so I get it for sure.
You're
Um,
like, yeah, but I'm living it up in Cali.
yeah, are you kidding? I'm a huge mama's boy.
I
Um,
can tell.
yeah. Costco.
I bet you're on her Costco membership too.
I have my own. Thank you. I was at
Are
one
you on her
point.
phone plan?
I used to be back in the day. I got kicked off. I had to grow.
I would have milked that as long as I could have.
Oh, I did. I was on her car insurance plan forever. And then she's like, you need to get on your own. I was like, fuck, okay.
You're like,
It's more
great.
expensive, mom.
I
With
do
that
have a
being
call I
said,
have to get to.
I was gonna say, with that being said, where can people find you? Uh,
Oh, I forgot about that. Everyone can find me across social media. I'm the Alex Allen across all social platforms.
awesome.
THE Alex Allen. Someone
Awesome.
said thought I said E once, and I was like, oh no,
All right.
the
Well, thank you
the.
very much. A little round of applause for you. This is great.
Thanks.
Organized chaos. Go to
I
your
like it.
call. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Goodbye.